Today on the show, we are tossing our blue scarf to the winds. Hopefully, no one will find it and shapeshift to look like us in order to get close to our significant others, all in a plot to dethrone us from the seat of imperial power. And oh, right. We are talking today about the new trailer for Dune Part 3.
Don't do that to us.
No, please.
Welcome to Gom Jabbar, your guide to the iconic world of Dune. We'll be exploring the themes, philosophies, and characters found in the sandy depths of this vast universe, from Frank Herbert's groundbreaking novels to the adaptations on film and TV. My name's Abu.
My name is Leo.
And folks, today is going to be all about those adaptations on film because we are here to break down the latest trailer for Dune Part 3.
So exciting. What a good trailer. Before we get too far into it, let's take care of our housekeeping. And this kicks off with a spoiler warning. Super important today. Today's episode is going to contain spoilers for both Dune and Dune Messiah. So if you listen to Gom Jabbar and for some reason you haven't read Dune Messiah, you've been warned. We're going to talk about beginning, middle, and end, the whole shebang. You should read the book before you listen to this episode.
That's right. And if you're going to start to read the book, check out our book club episodes. They are designed to be spoiler-free read-along episodes to guide you through every single book by Frank Herbert. So go back in the feed, check that out, read Dune Messiah, rewatch the trailer, come back, and then listen to this episode. In that order, do it all this weekend.
Yeah, it'll take the whole weekend, but listen, it's worth it.
Of course, up top, a huge shout out here in our housekeeping to our Kwisatz Haderach level patrons, Daniel Dion, Seth Redden Greer, Brad Hutchins, Kevin Mahanram, and Roger Young. Folks, if I was going to impersonate anybody as a face dancer, I would try to impersonate all 5 of you at once. I don't know how that would go, but I do know at the end of the day, I would be impersonating some of the most generous people on the planet who truly help us keep the lights on and keep this show running. Of course, my gratitude and my attempts to impersonate other people extend to all of our patrons at every level who truly help make this show possible. We cannot thank you enough.
It's a full-time hobby these days, impersonating so many people, so many generous people. Well, and listen, hey, if you are not in a place right now to be a monthly subscriber, if you've got fatigue, totally fine. You can also support us with a one-time tip, is another huge, incredibly appreciated way to keep the lights on here at Gom Jabbar. Makes all the difference in the world, makes what we do possible. That link is in the show notes as well.
That's right. Okay, housekeeping out of the way. This is a trailer breakdown episode, folks. So the game plan today is fairly straightforward. We're going to be breaking down, scene by scene, shot by shot, what happens in this new trailer for Dune Part 3. And along the way, we'll be talking about some of those blink and you'll miss it details in the trailer. We'll be referring to the source material, to the book, and comparing and contrasting it with what we're seeing on screen. And of course, we'll also be sharing our own impressions and feelings and crackpot theories based on the glimpses of the film that we're seeing here and our knowledge of that source material.
Indeed.
So let's take a quick break, folks. Don't go anywhere, though. When we come back, we're hitting play on this trailer and we're diving right in. We'll see you in a minute.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, let's talk about this trailer. Now, the trailer begins. Unlike the previous trailers, there's no chanting. It's silent. We're with Paul in a siege as he finds Chani waiting for him, so pissed off at him for just fucking lying and misleading her and being a really shitty boyfriend, because Paul Atreides is, if nothing else, a pretty shitty boyfriend. Chani confronts him. This is some point before the jihad. You can tell this because his hair, his luscious locks are flowing. He doesn't have the face tattoos yet. This is a much younger Paul Atreides than we'll see later in the movie. Chani says, quote, "I trusted you. You promised me that you would never take power in your name. You convinced me that this was your home, that I was your home," end quote. Now, interspersed with this argument, we see a series of familiar shots from past teasers shots covering the good times in their relationship, moments from the jihad that we know are much more modern, like what's actually happening in the movie, as well as that same tantalizing moment when they were in the tent. She has the blue scarf on her head and they're talking about names for their expectant child. And we're left to wonder again, when the fuck did this happen? When is
At
this?
what point in the timeline did they have the kid talk?
Yeah.
All we can say is it happens before Paul Atreides shaves his head, which presumably happens after the jihad. So it's sometime in the past.
Or, as we will talk about, there are many scenes that might not be literally what they appear to be. Maybe these are visions. Maybe this is an alternative timeline. Maybe this is what he left behind, or this is a vision that he had of them together. And it's not something that actually happened. So lots of possibilities here.
That's right. When you're talking about Dune, you have to wonder, what is past, present, or future for a being like Paul Atreides who's pressing it?
Yeah.
Now, as we continue with the trailer, after we get that sequence of shots, most of which we had already seen in previous teasers and trailers, we get our first real shocking moment. A new shot that shows us what appears to be a view through an oil lens telescope. We see Chani sitting on a dune holding her blue scarf up in the wind next to two children playing in the sand, children whose age or faces we cannot discern from this angle. All we know is that they look young-ish.
Yeah, what the fuck? Do we have twins? Crazy.
Is this the twins? Is this Leto and Ganima?
Oh my God. Who knows?
Who knows? And if it is, so many timeline questions are raised by this, right? Is this Chani out in the desert raising the twins? Are the twin ages going to be moved up instead of being born at the end of Dune Messiah? Are they being born at the end of Dune Part 2 when Paul rises to the throne and becomes emperor? Are we going to see teenage twins in this movie? It's all very unclear, and this trailer is very careful to basically reveal nothing about that outside of little teasers like these two children.
Right.
Now, in this shot, we see Chani release the scarf into the wind carries it away, and after a fade to black, we then cut to a shot where we simply see someone crouching and their hand reaching down and picking up the scarf out of the sand.
Right, yeah.
We get Paul's first words at this point in the trailer. He says, quote, "What do you know about me?" End quote, which is really impactful. Thematically, that's so in line with what Dune Messiah is about, right? It's a deconstruction of Paul Atreides, the chosen one, Paul Atreides, the Messiah, Paul Atreides, the hero of the story. Messiah is Frank Herbert tearing all of that apart and revealing the ugly truth underneath. And so Paul to literally ask, "What do you know about me?" The truth is, we don't know the half of it. We're going to see it in this movie.
That's such a good point. Again, he's asking Chani in the way that the trailer is cut. He's asking Chani in the actual movie based on sound cues. He's asking Hate, the Gola. But in the broader work of art that is Dune Messiah, Frank Herbert is asking us, the reader, and now us, the watcher, what do we think we know about Paul Atreides, the quote-unquote hero? Because this whole fucking story is about how we're wrong.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, this type of thing is what makes me so confident that the filmmakers, that Denis Villeneuve, the creative team behind this movie know exactly what they're doing, and they know and understand Frank's stories and themes intimately. For this to be the first word spoken by Paul in this trailer, a trailer that is so much about the darker side of Paul's rule.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the trailer literally ends, as we know, with him asking for forgiveness.
Yeah.
And it's a really powerful moment. After the scarf and children scene, we do also get a shot of post-jihad Paul. He's got these new face tattoos that we hadn't seen in the previous trailer. He's kind of got this like scar under one eye and a scar on his nose. And of course, he's got the shaved head, which is now sort of an iconic image of him in this movie. And this then carries us into the studio logos.
Right. Now, we do have to pause and just talk about the theories about the children and Chani. And again, one of the biggest theories out there is that this movie is really going to put Paul and Chani against one another, really making them clash. right?
Yeah.
Will the twins be born just as Paul takes the throne and thus be teenagers during the events of Dune Messiah? And it sure does look like Chani is out there with them alone in the desert. No dad in sight, no Paul in sight.
Yeah.
But does she do this because they break up, right? Like, again, we ended Dune Part 2 where they were very much against one another, at odds. But Paul says at the end of Dune Part 2, she'll come back. I've seen it.
Right.
So one of the explanations that kind of reconciles, for instance, them embracing at the end of this trailer and what we know about Dune Messiah, something that would actually bring this adaptation much closer to the book, is if they amicably decide that it would be safest for her to raise the children out in the desert, away from the danger that now surrounds Paul and his jihad and everything, right? So either way, Chani is out there with 2 kids. Who's watching through the telescope? Is it Paul? Is it one of Paul's men? Is it Scytale? Who is it? We don't know.
Right.
But again, maybe this is all misdirection. Maybe Chani has settled with a Fremen community and is just hanging out with a couple of kids. There's so many questions we don't have the answers to yet.
Maybe this is just Jack and his sister Jill.
They famously go up and down hills frequently. Now, one of them fell down and broke his crown, but we're not going to talk about that incident. That's it's an exception to the rule.
That's for a different podcast.
Thousands of safe journeys, and everyone fixates on the one fucking time Jack got all...
One time, okay?
Anyway, I get all worked up about Jack and Jill. Sorry. There's so much misdirection in this trailer and in the marketing around this movie. I think that for us as fans of the original book, but also for casual viewers, it's really going to be a journey of discovery to see how faithful is Villeneuve to the book, but also how is the book getting new life and how are some of these themes being brought to life in new ways, which is very exciting.
Right.
Because as you said, I do think that they have their fingers on the pulse of what Frank Herbert intended. And I think that that is their North Star based on what we've seen.
Yeah, even if there are dramatic changes, I'm still kind of confident that they'll nail it just because they truly understand the story.
Okay, let's get back to the trailer. Now, Paul and Hate have 2 bouts of dialogue that frame the next sequence of shots. And Hate's tone and the editing here really makes him sound much more confrontational than in the book version. In the book, he's like, hey man, I'm a gift from the Tleilaxu and I'm here to help you and however I can help, bro. I'm here.
I'm so loyal. Take me back, babes.
Take me back, babes. I'm hot and tall. Have you seen these fucking abs, bro? I can climb a rock wall like no one's business. But here we get this exchange, right? Hate says, you've conquered the galaxy. You've destroyed thousands of worlds. Paul goes, and what are your thoughts on that? And he goes, I think you're way beyond redemption. Right?
Ooh,
and it's
chilling
like,
line, yeah.
You know, great line. Again, really demonstrates that the people making this movie understand that Paul has gone too far. He is no longer even in the ballpark of a hero. At this point, he is more a Greek tragedy than anything. Now, framing that conversation that we're hearing, we see glimpses of some of these destroyed worlds, right? Gray, ashy terrain. We see this ruined pagoda-like structure crumbling in the fog. We see Alia, her bare dogs barking in the sand or the ash as she's walking, stepping through the ash, followed by a wide shot.
For free. You can make money off of that.
Yo, I didn't have to pay anything to see those dogs barking. It's a good day for Leo. But we get
Quentin
this.
Tarantino losing his mind right now, you know?
He and Kojima just high-fiving, so stoked. Now, this shot of the bare dogs barking is followed by a wide shot of probably Alia, again, surrounded by these desiccated, dehydrated bodies strapped to crosses. One popular theory is that these are victims of the at-home jihad, the Kizarat, that has targeted people who are non-believers and killed them as a crazy same people who will have made the giant statue of Paul and made him into a god, right. Now we get this shot again of Paul interviewing Hate in the throne room. He circles him as he's asking these questions, and then we launch into their duel, which we've already seen glimpses of in previous trailers. The duel itself is very fast it ends with Paul notably winning over this fight with who was once Duncan Idaho, dramatically stabbing down next to his face, nearly killing him, but leaving him alive. And this is notable because perhaps this is a way of indicating whether or not Duncan is back. Hate, the Gola, cannot overcome Paul's abilities. Maybe Duncan could. But at the same time, maybe this is a sign of how much Paul has grown, because Paul, the boy who knew Duncan Idaho, maybe would have fought to a loss. But now this is Paul the god, Paul the man, 17 years on the battlefield, out there bloody-faced in the jihad. Right. Maybe now he has outgrown his old teacher. Either way, we think it's very cool.
Yeah, I think it's a powerful scene. And it just looks gorgeous. This throne room sequence, every time we see it. We saw it in the first trailer. We're seeing it now in the second trailer a couple of times. Every time I'm just awed, like jaw hitting the floor, the lighting, the set dressing, the costumes, even of the people standing around. You know, there's the Fedaykin wearing their, who I think are the Fedaykin. It could just be palace guards or whatever. But it just looks absolutely stunning. And I think that's a statement both of us agree can be made about this whole film. It's just simply one of the most gorgeous science fiction films we've seen on the screen. And so huge props to Denis Villeneuve, Greg Fraser for Dune Part 1 and Part 2, and then a new cinematographer coming in here for Dune Part 3, Linus Sandgren. Absolutely stunning, the visuals of this film. And I think the throne room encapsulates a lot of that imagery.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, when we think of Fremen Guard, we think of like the elite Fremen, they're often in monocolored uniforms, right? Sandy tans to blend in with the desert and that sort of thing. The guards in the palace, whether these are Fedaykin or Kizarat or whoever, they're in these like black and tan or like dark green and tan perhaps uniforms, showing this departure from Fremen identity, which is so important to Paul's rule. He is no longer a purely Fremen person. He never really was, but his rule is corrupting the Fremen and is taking them away from the desert. So then when we see Chani with Fremen out in the desert and they're all wearing the traditional dusty, sandy still suits with these sand-colored cloaks and robes, that is much more the traditional Fremen garb, much more the traditional Fremen. And so we see also quietly in the background, in the set dressing, in the costumes, we see Paul's corrupting effect on this people. And it's so, I just think the whole team is firing all cylinders. It's so good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even consider the sequence we just saw with the bodies on crosses. A Fremen would never just leave a body out in the desert, even an enemy's body just out in the desert on a cross.
Yeah.
Right? That's water you need to reclaim. You need to take everything you can from that body. It's wasteful to leave a human body out in the desert. And yet here we see this like graveyard of endless victims of Paul's rule just out here as a warning to others. So un-Fremen-like.
Also a direct, throwback to some of the imagery from Seleucus Secundus, where the emperor had people in these sort of T-posed, almost crucifixy like, but they were upside down because I think they were being bled or something like that on the Sardaukar planet.
Yeah.
But either way, this is classic new ruler, same shit, right? Like Paul.
New ruler, same shit. How different are we from the guy we overthrew?
How different are we? He's a Harkonnen now. He's like, I'm going to become a Harkonnen. And people didn't listen. And they were like, oh, he's not a Harkonnen. He's Paul Atreides. He's my boy. No, he is fucking evil.
Things are going to be so much better now.
Things are going to be so much better. There aren't going to be any bodies anywhere strapped to anything. You fucking thought, idiot. No, they're everywhere.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I agree with you that I like that this is subtle, you know, like while the film is really hitting on this theme of the dark side of Paul's rule, it's not hitting us over the head with everything, right? It's like, oh, we see the Fremen garb is slightly different in the background in a non-traditional sense. We see these bodies out here. The Fremen would never do this. It's on screen. It's a lot of show, not tell, which Denis Villeneuve is just a master at.
And in case anyone out there is getting ready to pull that it's not that deep trigger, I fucking dare you. Because in the Vanity Fair interview, first of all, just shut up. But second of all, in the Vanity Fair interview, Villeneuve talks about that Gom Jabbar scene where Paul puts his hand in what's in the box, Bane. That whole sequence, he talks about how they chose to line the walls, floor to ceiling, with books to show that this is a world post-computers. Like, look at the far distant future, look at all these books. That is the level of detail they're thinking about in every single set. So when you are looking, look at everything, because it's all telling a story. It's the writing, it's the Fremen writing on the walls of the Siege that we never focus on, but is always there. That is the level of detail that these movies are operating at. It's so good.
It's so good. Absolutely. Okay, continuing with the trailer, speaking of incredible details, we gotta gush about this room.
Oh my God, what
that
a room.
Hate is shackled to. He's on his knees. Paul is standing next to him, talking to him. And we're in this incredible, what appears to be a cell. Like maybe this is where Hate is being kept. The walls are perforated by these like offset windows that are letting smoky light in. We get some warm yellow haze. We get some blue harsh light. And Paul is standing behind Hate on his knees here. Incredible stuff. We've been gushing about how gorgeous this film looks, and this room kind of seals the deal for us. Like, this is absolutely gorgeous. If somebody from Architectural Digest is listening, please get us inside Paul Atreides' palace and give us the tour.
Yeah. He's like, yo, welcome to Pimp My Crib. My name's Paul Atreides. Come on in. Yeah, this is the shackle room where I shackle people. I really love the light in here.
Yeah. This is the cross room. This is where we put people up on the crosses before we put them out in the desert.
People are always asking, of course, there is a vinyl player. It's a much warmer sound. You need good ambiance when you're putting someone on a cross.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hashtag cool rooms aside, let's continue with this trailer. We get a bit more conversation here between Paul and Hate. Paul says, "Why are you here?" Hate responds, "To deliver a peace proposal." To which Paul says, "Peace is a good thing. Why should I refuse?" And Hate says, "Because it's meant to destroy you." Some powerful dialogue there, mirroring somewhat this conversation that they have in the book itself. It's not exactly one for one, but the gist is somewhat the same.
Yeah.
Then we get some stunning glimpses of Arrakeen. We see what is maybe my favorite shot of the trailer. We see this tiny, tiny ship that's probably full of even tinier humans flying past this massive statue of Paul Atreides and flying toward, off in the distance, the huge citadel of Paul Atreides, the seat of power of this new emperor in Arrakeen. Absolutely gorgeous stuff. After that, we get a couple of wide shots of someone leaving the palace, flanked by guards who then kneel. And then this same person gets into a fancy-looking shuttle. We're pretty confident that this is Irulan and that these sequence of shots are basically just Irulan leaving, getting into a shuttle and going somewhere. And then after the Irulan stuff, we get this incredible shot of Paul and Hate standing in a red room in which Paul draws two blades. And this is another moment where we need to pause and talk about some things.
Indeed. Now, I did want to say really quickly, because we just did a live kind of frame-by-frame video, which is on our YouTube channel. And in that, we had a few people bring up the fact that, one, that giant statue of Paul doesn't really look like Paul. And we think that, again, this is a very intentional thing from the filmmakers. The religion that is built up around Paul is not about Paul. In the book by Frank Herbert, the masses see fucking Korba, of all people, up on the fucking plinth, and they go, "It's our Lord, Paul Atreides." They can't tell him apart from anyone else. Like, it's not about what he looks like. This is what he represents. So this statue not looking like Paul is kind of fucking brilliant. If it was just like a Timothy Chalamet carving, that'd be kind of cheap. And in fact, if he's off doing a jihad while people are carving it, they haven't seen him in like 10 years. And they're like, I think he had pretty wide shoulders. Didn't he have like giant shoulders?
Give him broad shoulders. Give him, of course, give him broad shoulders.
Big, thick neck.
Jason, broader.
Way broad. The biggest shoulders you've ever fucking seen in your goddamn life. This dude lifts.
Make the neck
thicker neck, girthier neck, bro. Yeah. So one, I just wanted to call that out. Another thing that was brought up was the idea that Irulan is being deferred to by all of these palace guards. Reminder that Irulan is the Empress. She is literally the Empress of the galaxy. So she is going to be deferred to by members of the palace. But the next shot we see of Florence Pugh is not one where she's reveling in all of the attention. It's one in which she's buckling under the constant presence of her husband's loyal fanatic legions. Think about what that implies about her vulnerability, her isolation, her kind of position of lack of power, because these men, although they all kneel to her, would not obey her if she disobeyed Paul, for instance.
That's right. That's right. They'd be the first to strike if she were to turn against Paul Atreides in any way, against their Messiah.
Yes.
They're both her guards and her jailkeepers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Another small detail I want to point out, this was relevant in the first trailer, but is more explicit here. Paul Atreides is bald, post-jihad.
Yeah.
And if you'll recall, baldness was a key physical trait of the Harkonnens.
Yes.
And for this film to draw that parallel so directly, I think is powerful. For Paul's statue, the statue of him overlooking the city, to be bald is an incredible visual, because you can easily imagine that over on Giedi Prime, there are so many bald statues of so many previous barons and rulers overlooking those cities in Giedi Prime. And here we see sort of another parallel, right? The quote unquote bad guys that we defeated in Dune Part 1 and Part 2, the Corrinos, the Harkonnen. Here is Paul Atreides following very much in their footsteps.
Putting people on crosses and is bald now. Oh my God. Terrible. Well,
nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. And again, think about Chani's emotions. Chani, who opens Dune Part 1 by talking about the oppressors, the Harkonnen, these fucking monsters. And then this man she falls in love with, who she sees as different. He convinces her he's different. He's not a Harkonnen. That's not what he's about. He believes in the Fremen and the fact that the Fremen need to fight and all this stuff. And then in Dune Part 2, he tells Jessica, I've discovered I'm a Harkonnen, and that's how I'm going to survive this. I'm going to become a Harkonnen. And now we see the byproduct of that. I love that you pointed that out. The baldness is no hate out there to bald folk. You look great, look so good. You know, there's a lot of iconic bald people, but it's clear that he's becoming the fucking bad guy. It's so good.
It's so good. It's so good. I love the Chani parallel you're drawing there too. For the opening film to open with her talking about her oppressors, and now in Part 3, we see him take the throne. He is now that very same oppressor.
Yeah.
And the Harkonnens were.
And think about her. She's like, the man I love. They have statues to him where he looks like a Harkonnen. Like, what the fuck is going on? How fucked up is that?
Crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. God. He's the same toxic finance bro I always date. Girl, find yourself a nerdy guy.
Someone who has a podcast, maybe about Dune.
Stop going for the finance bros.
A podcast with 2 words for its name, and maybe one who has like a host in France and a host in New York. I don't know. Just
think about it.
Zendaya,
okay?
I mean Chani. Think about it.
Think about it. Consider it. I know Tom Holland is lovely.
He's great.
Okay, let's talk about Hate/Duncan a little bit, because you had some interesting thoughts on the way that Paul and Hate are interacting in this trailer, and in particular, the way that it's cut.
Yeah, I think that this trailer is super intentionally misleading. And again, not necessarily because it's going to be some crazy reveal in the movie. I just think that it's an easier plot line for people who aren't familiar with the books to get attached to. This idea of like the old friend Duncan Idaho is no longer Paul's friend. He's his enemy, actually. When in the book, we know that Hate is really kind of like, hey, dude, I'm here to help. And I'm probably meant to destroy you. Not really sure how that works, but like, be wary. You know, reject me, kill me, get me killed right now. You know, that's the energy of Hate in the book. And I think and I've heard a lot of people who are really huge Dune fans being worried that like, oh, this is a big change. That Hate as a character has changed fundamentally. But I think that in fact, Hate is being edited in this trailer to appear more the like Paul is isolated and has all of his people are turning against him. And I think that that's an intentional thing. And I have some receipts. So for instance, the duel in this trailer is sort of framed as Hate's response to Paul asking him, and how do you feel about me destroying all those worlds? And then we see Hate picking up the kinjal and the guard, snapping to attention. But in the wide shot of this very same moment, we see that Paul already has a weapon drawn, as if he had two swords and he tossed one to Hate, and then he says, pick up the sword, let's fight, So we think that this duel is Paul's idea, but that's not how the trailer is presenting him. Now, another thing that kind of stuck out to me is that conversation they have. Hate says, I'm here to deliver a peace proposal. And Paul says, why should I refuse? Which doesn't really make sense. I think that there are, at least there's probably lines missing. Imagine, for instance, if Hate says, oh, why am I here? I'm here to deliver a peace proposal, but my lord, I think you should refuse. And Paul then says, well, peace is a good thing. Why should I refuse? And Hate goes, well, it's meant to destroy you, which is like one for one the conversation in the book. Like that is much closer to the book. So I think that that is very likely how Hate is going to be in this, and Hate will be an ally throughout the movie the same way he is in the book, but maybe for people who are new to the book, maybe people new to the story, Villeneuve is really leaning into this, like, you're not quite sure if you can trust the Gola Hate. And
totally.
And that'll be a kind of a rich thing for people to chew over as they're watching the movie. Can we trust him? Can we not? I don't think that that's central to the movie. I don't think that's central to the book, but I do think that that is something that Villeneuve is preserving with the editing of this trailer.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think the relationship is sort of played up and simplified for the sake of the trailer, but obviously there's a lot of nuance there. Mm-hmm. Duncan Idaho is one of the most loyal servants of the Atreides.
Yeah.
And I think we'll maintain that relationship. And I agree that I think he will be an ally of Paul's throughout the film, rather than somebody who's chained up and is an antagonist working against Paul.
Right. Yeah.
Let's also talk about this red room.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
This incredible red room that Paul and Hate are speaking in. It seems pretty clear to most of the Dune fandom that this is the shrine to Paul's father, Duke Leto. Mm-hmm. And actually in that red box thing in the center of the shrine, there appears to be some sort of like human head or human skull. Mm-hmm. And that more likely than not is actually Duke Leto's skull, which was famously enshrined. Literally in Dune Part 1, Paul says, quote, fanatical legions worshiping at the shrine of my father's skull, end quote. So this is a detail both from the movie and from the book. I think we're going to see it realized here in the film. And I think there's actually a lot of weight to be had for Paul and Duncan to be standing in the quote-unquote presence of Duke Leto Atreides, a man that both of them loved so much, a man that meant so much to each of these people. For them to be standing there and having a conversation, I think is quite powerful.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very impactful scene.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think that actually segues us nicely into a scene that both of us
oh my God,
just were blown away by in this trailer. Yeah. The moment where Fremen, warriors, alongside Stilgar, encounter the sea for the first time. Mm-hmm. Not only is this a gorgeous set of shots, but such an impactful moment when you understand who the Fremen are and what it means to them to witness open water that they can step in and swim in.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff for a people who have spent generations preserving every drop of water in the hopes to reshape their planet and change their lives. Really gorgeous. I can't wait to see this on the screen. I can't wait to hear that score swell up and the emotions bubble up when Stilgar and these other Fremen fall to their knees in front of this incredible view.
I think also because, we see a character kneeling in the sand. It's a Fremen kind of picked from the group and he's facing the camera. He seems kind of highlighted. My theory is this is Farouk, right? A character in Dune Messiah who talks about this from a firsthand perspective. But I just wanted to say that, we only get that telling of planet Enfile, I think, or Enfel, that planet. We only get that from Farouk. we don't really get a sense of the effect that seeing the ocean and interacting with the ocean had on other Fremen or Stilgar. And the fact that we get to see Stilgar experience this moment is such a gift. Because again, I trust
Truly.
Javier Bardem is such a phenomenal actor. Denis Villeneuve clearly gets the source material. And I, as a fan of Stilgar, just as someone who loves this character, I want to see him see the ocean. And I want to know what that does to him. And I feel like we're going to get that a little bit in this movie, which is so exciting.
Chills just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a quick break here, folks. Don't go anywhere, though. Because when we come back, we got to talk about Clay Irulan. We got to talk about the conspirators and Scytale. So much more to still touch on in this trailer. We'll be back in a minute to continue our deep dive analysis and breakdown.
Indeed. Welcome back, everybody. Oh, I hope you enjoyed your break. I hope you're ready for spa day. I hope you're ready for some moist skin and well taken care of. I don't know. Let's talk about Clay Irulan. Of course, by Clay Irulan, we mean these two shots of like goopy clay masked Princess Irulan surrounded by people who appear to be members of the Bene Gesserit. What do you what do you think, Abu?
It's so confusing what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
I think my takeaway, honestly, is that Irulan's role is going to be expanded in this film.
Mm-hmm.
In the book, as we know from Dune Messiah, she doesn't do much outside of the infertility drugs that she's been sneaking to Chani. But considering that Chani's not even in the palace seemingly here, she's out in the desert, and how much more Irulan we got in the first trailer and in this trailer, I suspect she will play a bigger role in the conspiracy. She speaks directly, in fact, in this trailer to Scytale. And I think the Irulan we see in the films, the Irulan that Villeneuve has constructed, is much more competent, much more deadly, and much more effective than the sort of bumbling, confused Irulan that Mohiam yells at in the books.
Right.
And so, first of all, I don't know what to make of the clay. I have no idea what's going on here.
Yeah.
But I get the sense that this is some conspiracy shit happening. And Irulan, I think, is going to be much more involved in the conspiracy and maybe be a bigger architect in it overall. There's also another theory that's been floating around that I'm not so certain on, but it's worth calling out. Some folks online have been wondering if this clay face thing is actually what the face dancer transformation might look like in this film. Is this not Irulan? Is this actually Scytale mid-transformation into Irulan?
Interesting.
I think that's interesting. I don't know that the context of what's going on around her in this scene, these like robed, seemingly Bene Gesserit walking around her, I don't know that the context points toward this being Scytale, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, I could see this. Scytale in the book has to run reconnaissance. He goes in as someone pushing Edric's tank in order to see the palace, to understand the inner workings of the palace. He interviews Farouk to understand the inner workings of the palace. He goes in as Lychna to understand the palace and to get a sense of the lay of the land, so he knows how to infiltrate. So I could see him being like, I need to go in as Irulan in order to, people will bow and let me pass and everything, and I can be kind of an asshole and no one's going to think twice about it. I could see that. I don't know that I'm super convinced. If anything, it seems like it could just be a Bene Gesserit cleansing ceremony or some other things. People have speculated maybe this is something to interfere with Paul's prescience or even to interfere with Scytale's face dancing abilities, because again, the reality is they don't trust each other. She doesn't trust Scytale. No one trusts Scytale. So very interesting. Now, I did think it was funny that Florence Pugh herself has acknowledged this whole insane debate about clay-faced Irulan. She reposted an Instagram story with the caption, quote, "Check out why Irulan has a clay mask in Dune Part 3," with a smiley heart emoji. Very funny, very cute.
I love how much everyone who worked on these films loves these films.
Yeah.
They're just like actually champions of these films. They're not on some press tour being paid contractually to talk up the film and hype it up and talk nice about this or that or whatever. They're just on social media tweeting about how much they love this film and how excited they are for the world to see it,
It's so good.
It's so good.
Now, speaking of the conspirators, speaking of Irulan and Scytale, we get to see and hear a lot more of Scytale in this trailer than ever before. And actually, we get to hear him talk. for the first time.
Yeah.
And in this next 20 seconds of footage, we have this dialogue between him and Irulan. Scytale says, "We plan to strike the core of Imperial power." Irulan says, "You intend to kill Paul?" Scytale, "Regime change." Irulan, "You idiot. You've just signed our death warrants." Scytale, "I've found someone." End quote. "Who did you find?" He's like, "I found the Michelin Man. He's made of tires." The score swells as we see more familiar shots in this trailer. We see a new one of Irulan having this conversation with Scytale, a Reverend Mother, very likely Gaius Helen Mohelheim. This is probably the very first scene in the book with the conspirators,
right,
where they are talking about what are we going to do to kill Paul.
Totally.
And that idea, "you've signed our death warrants," is very likely because Irulan, for the first part of Dune Messiah, has no fucking clue how far Paul Atreides' abilities extend. And in fact, in Dune Messiah, she has to hide a smile because she discovers it's true. He cannot see guild navigators. That's why Edric is such an important part of the conspiracy. We haven't gotten any confirmation in the trailer yet of Edric's involvement, but if she doesn't know that at this moment, it makes perfect sense why she's like, you idiot. Why would you say that to me? Paul sees us right now.
You fucked up. Yeah.
You fucked up. Why are you doing this?
You said the quiet part out loud. He knows now.
Yeah. You're supposed to keep it quiet. That's why they call it the quiet part. But the reality is maybe the next line, instead of being, "I found someone," is, "Don't worry. We've got Edric here." And that's why Paul can't see us.
Right. There's a way to block his abilities. That would be a big reveal.
Yeah.
We talked about this in our YouTube live stream, but when you step outside the context of being a super fan and knowing everything from the books and expecting this or wanting that, the reality is there will be countless people who will be watching Dune Messiah not knowing at all what to expect. Mm-hmm. And these are people who have watched Dune Part 1 and watched Dune Part 2 and loved that story and been told in those films that Paul Atreides is a chosen one with unprecedented powers who can see the future. He is a god. Mm-hmm. They've been told that up to this point. And so for them to come into Dune Part 3, hear these conspirators talking to each other, for a moment, they're going to agree with Irulan. They're going to be like, "Guys, stop talking. He's a god. He can hear you. He can see you in his visions."
Yeah.
And then for there to be a big reveal, wait a second, he's not a perfect god, though. His powers are not omniscient. We can block it, baby. That's actually kind of a huge reveal when you consider audience members who know nothing about the book. So I get the sense that this scene is probably leading up to a reveal like that for moviegoers who aren't book fans.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you're so right. The idea of Paul is this undefeatable god who cannot be, no one can get away with anything with his abilities.
Yeah.
It's important that we deconstruct him morally, but it's also important that we deconstruct the perception of his invulnerability. And this is part of that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Scytale's line that "I've found someone" sits atop footage of a mysterious silhouette standing in front of a moon, right? Silhouetted by the moon.
Yeah, so Batman.
It's Batman. "I found someone." It's actually the Dark Knight is going to help them defeat Paul. That's what he's saying. He's like, "I found a powerful new
It's
ally."
Myself in that other movie by Matt Reeves.
Yeah.
I know I'm Scytale in this one, but I'm also
the Batman. Yeah.
Vengeance.
Given time to research and to prep time, he beats anyone. This is canon, right?
That's right. This is
except
canon.
for Plastic Man, right? That's canon. Point is, we then see one of two characters crouching, we're not sure who, sweeping their hand across the sand before sort of pounding on it, maybe testing to see, hey, can we call a worm here? Is this drum sand or is this a good spot to call a worm?
Right.
Now, this shot of someone silhouetted by the moon, I just wanted to point out, is very likely, I think this is probably Chani. And I suspect that this is a reference to, in Dune Messiah, frequently Paul has these cataclysmic, apocalyptic visions of everything that matters to him, aka Chani, being taken away from him, her dying. And he sees this in his visions as this moon falling from the sky. It's all imagery around losing Chani. And no matter what he does, no matter what changes he makes, he always loses Chani.
Right.
So to see, probably Chani, silhouetted in front of a moon, just again, to me feels like a very intentional tip of the hat to the source material and a sign of how closely they're paying attention to the text that we all know and love so much.
I agree. It's a beautiful shot. And I think the fact that it perhaps nods to the falling moon imagery that Paul sees in his visions over and over again is such a great detail. Now, throughout this section of the trailer, we also get this sequence that we're pretty confident is just the stone burner scene. Mm-hmm. We see Alia with a Mala pistol in her hand. We see soldiers suspensoring through this like dusty, hazy area of Arrakeen. It seems late at night, and we see a hooded figure walking down in the streets. Presumably this is Paul on his way to Othaim's house. Mm-hmm. Definitely an incredible sequence that we're very much looking forward to seeing. I do think this is another good moment for us to pause because we're talking about Stoneburner, because we're talking about conspiracy, and because we're talking about Scytale. We have to talk about the sarcophagus.
Yes.
Because the sarcophagus does come up again in this trailer, and they're being incredibly cheeky about it. But it turns out there was a leak by marketing, and we have confirmation on what the sarcophagus is.
Indeed. I literally was thinking to myself earlier today, I was like, what if this is a bluff? What if they through marketing, they leaked this? If they did, what a fucking 5D chess move. But anyway, no, in a Warner Brothers Enterprise box account, literally, there were some iOS wallpapers of the sarcophagus. Yeah. And the folder that it's contained in is called, quote, Spacing Guild Navigator Sarcophagus. End quote.
Boom. Mic drop.
Which is crazy because clearly whoever's cutting these trailers, we talked about it in our initial reaction post. It's like they know it's this huge point of debate and they're clearly keeping wraps on it. They're clearly keeping it up in the, everyone's discussing and debating and all this stuff. And so then it falls down on this fucking box account. Go figure.
Someone just named the folder with a spoiler and there we are.
Yeah.
This basically puts the debate to rest. We had talked at length about whether this sarcophagus was actually Hate's container or is there actually a navigator? Are we going to see Edric? Are we not going to see Edric? It seems like there will be a spacing navigator in this film based on the shots and the context and what we know from Messiah. It seems like that spacing navigator will be Edric. But I will point out, it still remains to be seen how big of a role Edric will play in this conspiracy. The fact that we've gotten no footage of him, no speaking lines from him in either of these trailers means they're either keeping his role very much under wraps or he has a smaller role in this film.
Yeah.
It's also up in the air whether we'll even actually see him, right? Is this sarcophagus all we're going to see of a Spacing Guild navigator? Are we ever going to see a fishy, floaty boy inside the tank? Or will it just be this sarcophagus and a voice talking through it? That still remains to be seen.
Yeah, for my money, I think now that I know it's Edric, and considering the number of shots it's in, floating into the palace, we see it later in the throne room. We see
it plugs into the USB port.
He's just downloading new tunes to make sure he's got offline music, In all of these shots, I think that we are going to get lines from him. I think, again, he wouldn't be in some of these scenes with Mohiam and Scytale and the Bene Gesserit and the Spacing Guild. I think we're going to get speaking lines. I can also imagine this being another kind of shocking reveal for casual audiences where maybe there's a close-up shot of the orange tank as it's talking, and maybe there's a hand or a face or something. That might be a little bit too Sam Raimi, but still, I could see it being a kind of shocking moment of, what the fuck is that? Whoa, that's crazy, and that's what is protecting us against Paul's prescience, and that being this huge reveal. So I could see something like that.
Yeah, I think it could go either way. Denis Villeneuve is a very restrained filmmaker. I don't know that he would want to lean very Shape of Water. Here's a fish boy and he's talking to you. And it could just be sarcophagus, and through the little window, maybe we just see a pair of eyes and a bunch of spice haze in there. And we never actually get the full sense of what kind of being is inside it. I think it could go either way. It feels 50-50 to me. It could be a big fish boy reveal that they're holding back in these trailers, or it could be that Villeneuve has chosen to go minimalist with it, and we never actually see the body of the navigator.
What if it's like a Barbie movie Ken dance number where they actually open the sarcophagus and Edric comes out and does like a fishy dance.
Papa!
Like big pops. He has like abs and he's like super hot. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what they should do.
Probably. Ryan Gosling also plays Edric, yeah.
Ryan Gosling.
So that leads us into the final chunk of this trailer. And it's crazy. I mean, this trailer goes from like being pretty easy to parse to being just a madhouse of different shots and moments, even moments from the previous movies, it seems. And honestly leaves us with a ton of questions that we just do not have answers to. And the first chunk of this is set to some dialogue between Paul and Chani. Paul says, quote, "The future has a way of talking to me, but I can't see what's ahead." Chani responds, "How does it feel to be human like everyone else, Paul Atreides?" End quote.
Ooh.
Which is, you know, kind of an interesting thing. We'll come to that in a second. But among some familiar shots of, you know, Chani crying, she's alone in the desert. Again, maybe shortly after the events of Dune Part 2, we get this like sparkly gold, flickering, flashing, very abstract moment. And then a pair of these inky black eyes snapping open, covered in a cloth with some light peeking through.
Right.
Very cool little moments that, again, we have some theories, right? The sparkler flash is probably the kind of psychedelic, maybe this is the golden path, maybe this is some sort of prescient vision. Either way, you know, some real psychedelic visions there. And then the inky black eyes. We see Paul later with these black eyes after the stone burner. So rather than like melted eyes, the sort of way that it is in the book, right? These pits, maybe rather than going body horror, they're going more, he's scarred and his eyes are black.
Yeah.
And sure enough, in the stone burner scene, we see him crouched on the ground, his face covered by his arm, which has this sort of like burlap cloth. So perhaps this is the moment he opens his eyes and we're revealed that he no longer has the eyes of a bad, and he now has these black eyes.
Yeah.
And he's going to stand up and reveal that he can actually still see using his prescient power.
Yeah. I've seen some disappointment online. People wanted the sort of like complete loss of eyeballs that the book describes. But I don't know. If this is not just like VFX for the trailer that's hiding something, the truth, you know, like movies love to do that. If this is actually the final representation of his eyes in the movie, I'm actually very happy with it. I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it.
I do think like totally melted eyes would lean like too campy and too body horror.
Yeah.
And I don't think Villeneuve is interested in those types of visuals. This feels like a more Villeneuve way of showing the blindness from the stone burner.
Yeah. And again, you can leave the horror of it to the actors.
Hell yeah.
Stilgar, in the book, Stilgar is the one who goes, "Oh my God, you're blind." Like, and he's really struggling to understand, what do we fucking do? You're the head of the Fremen, and Fremen who are blind have to walk out into the dead. Oh my God, your life is forfeit. You know, I think Javier Bardem and Chalamet with this prosthetic, I think it's going to be totally clear to the audience how horrible this is to have happened. And now he is unhuman and scary. And I think that that's the important part, is that this is the transformation from Paul, the sympathetic, you know, tragic hero, but still a human, right? Still a human figure, into the god, Paul Atreides, who's grabbing the radio from someone's hand, even though he can't fucking see, flying the ornithopter, even though he's blind.
Yep.
And that level of mythology is going to be very possible because his eyes are now inky black. Again, eyes, the windows to the human soul being taken away. I think it's totally effective.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And based on the shots we see in this trailer coming up, maybe blind Paul Atreides in combat on the back of a sandworm.
Dude, fucking nuts.
Crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, there's one more moment here we need to talk about near the end of the trailer. Well, there's a couple moments, but this is a big one. Paul and Chani have this conversation in this dimly lit chamber. Mm-hmm. And Chani is like, we see Chani sort of like walking through these curtains, and Paul sees her, lowers his gun. He still has his normal blue eyes of the Abad in this scene. So presumably before Stoneburner explosion. But I think the theory that you and I sort of agree on here with the rest of the internet is that the Chani that walks in through these curtains and is talking to Paul in this chamber looks a little off. Mm-hmm. Looks a little like face dancer Scytale, and not the Chani that we're seeing in the rest of this footage.
Yes.
She looks a little too clean, a little too prim and proper. Her hair is done up differently. she just looks a little bit unreal. There's an uncanny valley there. And I think we both suspect that this is actually Scytale as Chani speaking to Paul.
Yeah. I mean, it's either Scytale or it's like this is a vision where Paul is having this conversation with a remembered ideal version of Chani who he hasn't seen her for years. So he's remembering her, how he met her, her hair flowing in the visions. You know, she looks like the visions he had when he was on Caladan.
That's true.
And so the fact that she's not dusty and weathered from a decade of like being out in the element, I do think that this is Scytale and that we're basically getting, instead of Lychna, instead of a different Fremen woman, I think Scytale is going to use Chani's appearance to get close to Paul in order to extend to him an offer of like, yo, I look like this because I have eyes on Chani, and if you don't fucking do what I say, she's gonna die. And that's gonna be this conversation. But it also means the like, that whole line of how does it feel to be human like everyone else, Paul Atreides? You know, we were saying in our live chat, that's not how you fucking talk to your like lover that you like.
Yeah, what?
That's so weird. Like, hi, Paul Atreides, I'm your lover, Chani. Chani Liet Kynes, nice to meet you. Doesn't make any sense. So
doesn't make sense. Yeah, it's a weird way to phrase that line from a lover.
Yeah. So I think we agree. This is probably Scytale, and it's going to be revealed that he takes a few different forms throughout the movie.
Yeah. I think so.
Now, this leads to a quick sequence of outdoor shots. We see Fremen and Chani scampering up onto the top of a dune. Who are these Fremen? We don't fucking know. We see Scytale, small kind of ornithopter flying ship, buffeted by sands of a worm's arrival. It nearly gets buried, maybe does get buried in the sands as it crashes. It is so unclear if the moment of the Fremen scampering up the hill and the ornithopter are part of the same happening moment, the same scene, but you know, naturally it is clear that this is Scytale in that ornithopter in the sand. That's all one sequence.
Yeah.
And this also features a shot of Scytale looking like he's not having a good time. This is not him successfully burying his ornithopter in sand as he intended. This is him clutching to life and nearly dying, not doing so hot.
Yeah, maybe he didn't expect to come face to face with an old grandfather of the desert, you know?
It's a big worm, yeah.
It's a big-ass worm.
And again, this is a sequence that we do not see in the book. It is very clear that Scytale is also getting an expanded role compared to the book.
Totally.
Which we're excited for, because again, Robert Pattinson, a great fucking actor. And
great actor.
You know, use him.
Yeah, when you got Robbie Pattinson in your movie, you use him.
Yeah.
To the fullest,
He's the Batman.
extent.
Yeah.
He's Batman. He's vengeance.
He is vengeance.
Okay, so the final shots of this trailer as we wrap up are carried by this conversation between Paul and Hate. Paul says, "You have no fear, do you?" And Hate responds, "I fear dishonor." To which Paul says, "You sound like an Atreides." And Hate says, "I've been told I was one."
Huge.
Some of this Hate Paul stuff is really getting me. It didn't feel that deep in the book, and we're going to revisit the book before the movie, so maybe going back and reconsidering it will give me greater appreciation, but it really feels like they're leaning heavily on this Paul, Hate, Duncan, Idaho relationship that they set up in part 1 and part 2, which I really like.
I mean, really giving them time together, scenes together, multiple scenes where it's just them talking, which is huge, because I think the actors do have good chemistry. I also really loved that last line, "I've been told I was one," because I was still looking for confirmation that we weren't going to go down the route of like softening the Gola lore. Like maybe this would just be...
I see. A full resurrection.
Yeah, and he's kind of got Duncan's memories and who knows. But this line, "I've been told I was effectively an Atreides," is clear that they are doing he doesn't really remember. And I think that that's huge because although it's not super important that Golas exist in this adaptation of Dune, I'm a huge fan of them. I'm a Dune fan. I like Golas. I think they're cool. So
yeah, I mean, I think Duncan as a Gola is actually kind of a central part to Dune, and you can't gloss over that. You know, if you change that, you fuck up anyone trying to make future adaptations of this material.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they seem to be sticking closely to that. Well, during this conversation, we see a bunch of different shots. We see, for example, a blood-spattered Alia entering this chamber with the Reverend Mother. Alia shrieks at her. our best guess is that this is Moheim in her cell.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps this is actually near the end of the book / end of the movie where Moheim is killed. Maybe this is Alia after the bloody events of the movie take place, walking in to take vengeance against one of the conspirators.
Yeah.
Guys, Helen Moheim.
Actually, friend of the pod, Elaine Nerd Cookies, shared kind of an interpretation of the sarcophagus entering the throne room. Alia sitting on the throne.
Yeah.
Not on the arm of the throne, not standing beside it, but sitting on it. Very likely, this is at the end of the movie. Paul is gone. Alia is the regent. And in fact, this sarcophagus being brought in prone is Edric having been captured or killed, being presented to her. Here is this person who betrayed you as part of this thing.
Yeah.
And I think that that would tie nicely together with her, coming in shrieking, this image of vengeance and violence, this brutal knife, Saint Alia the knife, coming to take Moheim's life for the role she played in the conspiracy that took Paul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. We also then see a few quick shots of Hate dropping down from an ornithopter onto the back of a sandworm, confronting this group of Fremen. And we see just a sequence of shots sprinkled into these final few moments of the trailer where it seems like there's going to be some insane set piece battle on the back of a sandworm.
Yeah,
Paul is there with his blind eyes. Hate is there throwing knives around. And there's some sort of Fremen warriors paragliding in, seemingly above the worm maybe,
Fucking
or above a storm of some sort. It looks crazy. Like I do think there's going to be some incredible set piece battle on the back of a sandworm, and we get glimpses of that here near the end of the trailer.
Yeah. I also wanted to point out that in the book, he kind of half remembers the Atreides salute, but doesn't fully remember it. So the fact that this Hate lands from the ornithopter and then is fighting these Fremen, I could almost see this being at the end of the movie. Maybe Paul is going to reconnect with Chani, right? They split on good terms. It's safest for you to be out in the desert. I'm coming back to you. I'm going to come back to you now. Maybe this is Hate dropping in to save Paul, who's been ambushed by Fremen, to, even the odds a bit. And by doing the Atreides salute, he is demonstrating that, in fact, this is Duncan, Idaho, and no longer Hate.
Yeah.
Just thought that might be interesting. And I think that this idea of like a big set piece toward the end of the movie where there's this huge battle, there's a sandworm involved. Again, we don't necessarily, if the twins are born, we don't have the crib creche scene to look forward to where the very freshly born twins and Chani's, recently departed body and Scytale threatening the babies. That doesn't really make sense given this new timeline.
Yeah, totally.
So maybe instead of that tense, mano a mano, maybe we have this big set piece to kind of wrap up the trilogy.
Yeah. Right, I agree. I think the Siege to Bur third act sequence of the book is not going to get translated into this movie. And I think the third act of this film is going to be quite different. But we'll have to see.
Which is a shame. I fucking love Paul seeing through Leto II's eyes and
the knife
throwing
sequence,
the knife and God, that would be so fucking cool. But
look, and we could just see a reinterpretation of that.
That's true.
He's blind, and we know the twins are in this movie in some fashion. Maybe we will see some sort of epic knife throw through the eyes of his son, which would be amazing on the back of a sandworm and was amazing in the book.
Maybe they see Scytale's ship crash. They assume he's dead. He turns up 11th hour. You thought you were safe. Actually, I'm here with the knife. And then Paul, who's like, I don't know what's going on. I can't see anything.
So anime.
Blood. So fucking Seven Samurai. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the final couple of shots of this trailer. Again, there's so much to unpack here and so many questions that we have. We see a person that's being approached by an enormous sandworm that suddenly stops dead in its tracks right in front of this person, followed by a shot of Chani, or maybe a shot of a teenage Ganima, according to a theory by one of our patrons, Ben, in our Discord. reaching out and seemingly touching the side of this enormous worm that has stopped dead in its tracks. What are your thoughts about this? Because this is confounding. Is this a vision?
Yeah.
Is this stuff from later books? If you know, you know. Stuff from later books being brought forward suddenly? Is this even Chani? Could this just be Ganima? What are your thoughts?
Dude, I had not realized how much the actress who's cast to play Ganima does look like Zendaya. Like, I think I had totally thought it was just Zendaya, because frankly, I'm not good at recognizing people. But then I saw Ben's comment in Discord, and it's like, oh shit, maybe that is Ganima. I am leaning hard that this is a vision right now. I have a hard time reconciling in universe lore that it's like, someone stopping a sandworm and having this like moment with the sandworm. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there is precedent for that in the 6 books of Frank Herbert, but in these first 2 books, there's no reason that this would be a real thing.
Right.
So if anything, I see this as like, this is probably a vision. But again, it could be Ganima, which is wild to me because I really was betting that we were not going to get any of the twins in this movie. So I don't know. What about you? Are you feeling as uncertain as me, or do you have a theory?
I'm also just as uncertain as you. And like you said, it's hard to slot this into what we know. Mm-hmm. This is, of everything we're seeing, like, there's a ton of changes in this trailer. There's a lot of questions being raised. But in general, you can kind of see like, okay, these are still, the puzzle pieces are shaped somewhat the same still.
Yeah,
and like maybe they're being rearranged into a different image, but it's still all the same puzzle pieces. This is a puzzle piece where you're like, what is this Lego brick doing here?
Yeah.
Where do I slot this in?
It's like bright pink. All of the other puzzle pieces are greens and blues. And you're like, there isn't a pink puzzle piece. There isn't a pink piece of this picture. Where does this go?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know. My instinct is to just call this a vision, to say this is a vision of stuff that happens in the future.
Yeah.
But it's not filmed like a vision. It's filmed like reality. It's like very clean footage. It's not that like extra grainy or highly saturated like the previous visions have been in part 1 and part 2. I don't know. And again, maybe that they're intentionally hiding that, and the finalized like color and effects haven't been placed on these shots yet. I have no idea how the fuck stopping a worm fits into this story.
Here's a theory. What if the worm is Scytale? Really impressive face dancing.
Some really impressive face dancing. Scytale as the worm.
What if they're both Scytale? We can't trust anything.
Yeah. We can't trust anything. This whole trailer could just be a montage of Scytale.
All Scytale, all the way down. Denis Villeneuve at like the fan event, face changes in front of it's Robert Pattinson. He runs away. I was like, holy shit.
Holy shit. Wow. And that basically wraps up the trailer, folks. We end on this final shot of a black-eyed, broken, despondent, scarred Paul Atreides speaking the words, "Forgive me for all I've done." And that's where the trailer wraps up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Insane.
Incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Let's take another quick break, folks, just to catch our breath now that we've wrapped up this trailer. When we come back, we're going to just share our final thoughts and impressions and throw some final theories out there as we wrap up this breakdown of this Dune Part 3 trailer. We'll see you in a minute.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's wrap up today by sharing our kind of takeaways. Where are we at emotionally with this? And I'll kick off by sharing, I'm incredibly excited for this movie. We had someone ask in our chat, like, do we think this is going to be better than part 2? And I frankly do. Like, I think that, like, Villeneuve has it in the tank to finish off this trilogy super strong. He was pretty confident. One of the people on the creative team was saying he would not have done the first movie if he didn't know that he would have all 3, right? Confirmed for all 3. And the reality is, I think he probably has been setting the stage for this finale the whole time, versus sometimes a director is like, oh, you want me to make a third movie? Oh, shit.
Oh, okay. Let me cobble it together.
No, I feel like this has been part of the vision the whole time. So I do think that he's going to be able to land this ship really, really well. I also think that, from things I've seen in interviews, he's not afraid to be creative with this final movie. And that's also really exciting to me. I love the book. Don't get me wrong. I want to see a faithful adaptation of Dune Messiah at some point in my life. But I also know that sometimes a faithful adaptation, see the miniseries that exists, doesn't necessarily mean a good movie or a good series. So Villeneuve coming along and delivering an incredible movie that is great is very exciting to me. I wanted to share quickly something that Villeneuve said at a fan event in Burbank that really got me excited, because again, my degree is in visual arts, and I really enjoy when people get a little bit experimental. Quote, "That's where my cinematic education started, watching experimental short films in Canada. I wanted to bring that kind of experimental feeling to Dune Part 3. To do so, I created a special small unit of a few filmmakers, and their task was to do a few experiments in front of the camera to bring some crazy, insane footage that I would use. That unit was called the Psychedelic Unit, and it was led by two young French Canadians, and their task was to bring crazy images." End quote.
I love that.
And good fucking Lord. I mean, so first, that's probably the source of that sparkly gold moment that is Paul seeing the future, or maybe that's the first thing he sees after the stone burner, this sequence as he activates his immediate prescient awareness. I'm so stoked to get a little bit experimental, get some young filmmakers involved. Absolutely. I will say, the one thing that I am missing still from this movie, from the broader trilogy, is a feeling that Arrakeen is populated. I think that like Dune Messiah in particular, we are given a description of the palace swarming with people coming to see Alia. Paul goes out and walks among them, bustling shoulders, bumping into people left and right, because there are millions and millions of people in Arrakeen. And that was something I was really looking forward to. How is Arrakis going to change with this new emperor? It's notable that this kind of like harsh planet becomes the imperial center and the seat of power, and people now they go on pilgrimages just to come to Arrakeen. And it doesn't seem like we're getting that contrast in this movie, at least not based on the trailers that we've seen. And yeah, I know I'm talking about this probably 3.5 hour movie based on 2 minutes of footage. Still, that's how I'm feeling. The shot of Paul walking alone at night toward the stone burner is kind of in contrast to the scene in the book where he's in his uniform, his disguise, because he might be recognized out on the street. He sees Alia up on stage from the masses, and he's thinking about this religion that they've created.
Yeah.
I feel like we're missing that a little bit. So I'm really hoping we get at least 1 or 2 shots of just like bustling crowds and not armies. We see armies, we see battlefields, sure, but I want to see Fremen living day-to-day lives on Arrakeen, being affected by all of this. I want to see tarot decks packaged, merch being sold. This is canon shit from Dune Messiah. Right. I want to see that stuff.
Paul Atreides underwear.
Paul Atreides
on sale.
Boxers. Indeed, buy 3, get 1 free. I want to see that stuff. If I don't get it, it'll be fine. I'll enjoy the movie. I don't think it'll be as faithful an adaptation if we don't get that. But along the lines of what I'm saying, I think it's going to be a fucking phenomenal movie, an incredible movie-going experience. It looks so good already. I can't wait to see. I'm going to go probably to Paris or Germany. I don't know where the nearest IMAX screen is to me now, but I'm going to fucking find it. I'm going to take a 6-hour train ride to get to it. Either way, super stoked. What about you? How are you feeling after this most recent trailer?
I agree with a lot of what you've said, and I feel the same sort of hollowness of Arrakeen that you're describing. This is something you and I have basically been asking for since Dune Part 1.
Yeah.
This is a sort of minor nitpick or flaw in the film that we have been talking about for years, and I just don't think we're going to get it. Based on these trailers, based on the visuals we're seeing, I just think this is a story focused on Paul and the people around him, the conspirators, and Villeneuve is not interested in showing Arrakeen and the bustling city and the average person. And, that's a bummer for us personally, but at the same time, it does look like we're just getting an incredible film that's going to round out an incredible trilogy. There's been much talk on the internet about whether this trilogy will be able to top The Lord of the Rings when it comes to Oscars, because part 1 and part 2 are either tied for or actually ahead on the number of Oscars that it won compared to Fellowship of the Ring and The Two Towers. Of course, The Return of the King won like a crazy number of Oscars. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was something like 10, 12 Oscars.
Yeah.
And so is Dune Part 3 also going to win a dozen Oscars? I don't know. Who knows? But this does feel like the trilogy of our time, the trilogy of our generation. Like our parents got to experience the Lord of the Rings trilogy as it rolled out.
Star Wars.
Our grandparents got to experience the Star Wars films as they rolled out.
How young are your fucking parents? My parents saw Star Wars. What?
Oh, my parents are quite young, actually.
Jesus. Okay. I was like, my parents were in their 20s when Star Wars came out. What are you talking about?
Oh, no. My parents would have been like teenagers. They met. I mean, whatever. There was no fucking Star Wars in Pakistan. My parents did not go see Star Wars.
That's fair.
It doesn't matter. But like the point I'm making is like it seems like this feels like a generational film trilogy.
You're like, my
the
parents
type of trilogy
had
that
Twilight growing up. I'm like, oh my god, Abu's parents are 14.
But I'm incredibly excited. I do think in response to someone in our live chat earlier asking if this third film will top part 1 and part 2. Obviously, we can't say that definitively without watching it and sitting with our feelings. But based on these trailers, based on the hype, based on how truly confident they are in this film, the fact that they're not moving it for Avengers Doomsday, they're like, fuck you, Marvel. We're going to take all the IMAX screens in December. Get fucked. The fact that they are so confident in this, and the fact that they're just dropping these trailers, dropping the mic, and then walking away, tells me they know they got something good on their hands. Tells me they know they have a multiple Oscar-winning movie on their hands. Yeah. So I'm incredibly stoked. I think as a Dune fan, I am a bit more split. Not 50-50. I'm still very excited and very confident this will be a great film. But there's maybe like 30% of me that's a little worried with how many changes we're seeing. And a little worried that while this film may be good and a great conclusion to Denis Villeneuve's trilogy, this film at the same time may be a bad adaptation of Dune Messiah, my favorite book in the Dune saga by Frank Herbert.
Yeah.
We might be making so many changes that we stray too far from the original text and thus lose some of the magic of what makes the source material what it is. What makes Dune Messiah my favorite film. A little part of me is worried about that, but the majority of me is confident that Denis Villeneuve loves the source material just as much as I do and would not make a change that would actively harm or go against the original words that Frank Herbert put together on the page.
Yeah. I mean, it's clear to me at least that like any changes that there are not adjusting the fact that Messiah is a deconstruction of the hero trope. And like really a character assassination intentionally of Paul Atreides and painting him as this like kind of pathetic, powerless, tragic character. And it seems like they have fully leaned into that.
Yeah.
And like, maybe his relationship with Chani is very different. And I don't like that because I love their relationship in the book. And I thought that it was kind of beautiful that they have this ride or die loyalty to each other and that Paul is willing to give up the universe for her. I'm like, I like those things. But to your point, it's like, is that necessarily the core, the absolute core of Dune Messiah? And maybe Dune Messiah really is more about like Paul. Yeah. And it seems like they will. I will also say, I think when I first watched the trailer, I was much more concerned about all of the changes. But as we have really picked it apart, scene by scene and frame by frame, I think that a lot of the perceived changes are in fact editing misdirections. And what we're actually going to get, I'm pretty confident now, is authentic enough to the material that we will identify. When we're sitting in the theater, we're going to be like, this is Dune Messiah. And that's going to be a very satisfying.
And look, how cool will it be to not only have Dune Messiah, my favorite book in the Dune series, and also Dune Part 3, my favorite film in the Dune trilogy.
Yeah, totally.
Separate but related stories. Like they can be different enough, but have the same message and the same heart at their core. And how cool would it be to have two versions of a story I love so much, and both of them being so excellent that they continue to be my favorites.
Yeah.
And in my perfect world, in my ideal world, that's exactly what happens December 2026.
Yeah. I also wanted to say, just regarding like Oscars, the one thing is, people are seeing The Odyssey right now, and apparently the people who have seen it are like, it's a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah, it's a stacked filmmaking year.
I don't know if part 3 is going to beat The Return of the King in regards to how many Oscars it takes home. Because again, at the end of the day, the Oscars you win are determined as much by the other people who show up to play. And this year is nuts.
It's a nut. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I would love for this to go down in the history books as like one of the most successful franchises of all time. I don't doubt that their box office return numbers are going to be stacked. Like, I don't doubt it's going to cross the $1 billion line.
Oh, really? Billy?
I think so.
Okay.
But we'll see.
I mean, yeah, Dune Part 2 did like 700 mil. So, yeah.
Well, knowing that, actually... maybe. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see how much like controversy it steals up, and we'll see how like Doomsday, how they advertise and stuff. But
yeah. Well, folks, there it is. There is our incredibly in-depth breakdown of a 2.5 minute trailer. We hope you enjoyed hanging out with us for over an hour and a half. We can't wait for this film. We hope you can't wait to join us for this journey. We have a ton of exciting Dune content planned for the rest of the year leading up to the film. And then, of course, we will be covering the film in depth, as well as Dune Prophecy Season 2, which is also on our plate coming up. It's a stacked year, and we've been saying this every year for practically the last 5 years. There's no better time to be or become a Dune fan. There's plenty of room on this Highliner, so get on this bandwagon, folks, and join us for an incredible year of Dune ahead.
We got slig steaks, and it's like 5 per person. We're eating well.
We're eating well.
Well, before we let you go, which will remind you some ways to support the show, support us, what we do here on Gom Jabbar. I feel like I left out 5 or 6 words within that last 2 sentences, but it's fine. The 2 best ways to support us is 1, to become a patron over at patreon.com/GomJabbar. You get a bunch of fun perks, access to our Discords, ad-free episodes, as well as a bunch of behind the scenes and additional like live streams and stuff like that. We also have our merch store, gomjabbar.shop. You want to go to that premiere dressed in some sick Dune merch that other Dune fans are going to be like, yo, may thy knife chip and shatter? Fuck yeah, kindly. Oh, hell yeah. Check it out, gomjabbar.shop. Get yourself something cool, get your favorite Dune fan something cool, and support the show while you do it.
That's right. And one last reminder before we say goodbye, email us, gomjabbarpodcast@gmail.com. That has always been the email. That has always been a great place to get in touch with us. Send us your own thoughts on this trailer. Send us your own wild theories. Who is stopping that worm? Is it Ganima? Is it Chani? Is it a vision? Send us all of your thoughts. We can't wait to read them. This shared excitement is what this is all about.
Yeah.
And we have this incredible audience that we do it with week in and week out. And you are now part of that audience. gomjabbarpodcast@gmail.com. Reach out. The only thing we ask, and this has been a rule for years, and we're not going to start breaking this rule now.
Yeah.
We have a pet tax. If you have a cute little critter in your life who is part of your family and who you love dearly, include a photo of them in your email. Yeah. We love to see all your little friends.
It's that easy. Yeah. Well, and then we reveal that we are both Robert Pattinson in disguise.
Hello.
And then the microphone is him, and my monitor is vengeance. What's another Robert Pattinson? This is the skin of a killer, Bella. What else?
Oh my goodness. What is Robert Pattinson's best role, in your opinion? Pending Dune Part 3 and Odyssey, which we haven't seen yet.
Okay.
Should we pull up his IMDb?
Deep cut. I think The Lost City of Z. He was very good. And I don't know how many people saw that movie.
I've not even heard of that.
Alternatively...
What?
Okay, wait 1 second. Robert Pattinson. Okay, so I will say he was excellent in Water for Elephants. He was very good in Remember Me, like blew me away. And in... Oh my God, The Lighthouse. Are you kidding me? He was fucking
in The Lighthouse.
Phenomenal in The Lighthouse. I'm going to say The Lighthouse.
Oh my God. Okay, that's your one.
What's your favorite Robert Patty move?
Mine's easy. I don't even have to think about this. Tenet.
He's so good in
He's
Tenet.
incredible in Tenet. Just the aura farming in Tenet.
He's great.
I love it. I'm a Tenet apologist, and I will always be a Tenet apologist.
You know, I think also like Mickey 17, he was quite good in that.
Yeah.
His ability, the range to play all of the different Mickeys, I think he did a really good job. I don't know that that was a very good movie, but I really enjoyed the movie, and we saw it together. And also,
We did see it, yeah.
I think he did a phenomenal job playing those different characters and being those different personas. I thought it was great. So, good,
Yeah.
great actor.
Well, there you go, folks. This was supposed to be a 2-second outro about Robert Pattinson, and there's our in-depth thoughts on an actor we love so much.
Well, friends, there is no real ending. It's just the place where you stop the recording. But this podcast is always one step beyond logic. So help spread the word of Muad'Dib and leave us a review in Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And be sure to check out the other shows on the Lore Party Podcast Network on loreparty.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at lore_party. We're also on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, whoever controls the podcast controls the universe. We'll see you on the golden path.